You know what's fascinating about the Blue Jays right now? Everyone's talking about this offseason's moves, but the real story is what's about to happen 12 months from now. And I'm not sure management is ready for the decisions they'll have to make. Let me paint you a picture of what's coming. Right now, the Jays have 7 players heading into the final year of their deals. 7. That's not just a couple of contract decisions. That's potentially rebuilding half your roster. And some of these names? They're not easy calls. Start with Kevin Gausman. This guy signed a 5-year, $110 million deal that seemed massive at the time, and honestly, it's been worth every penny. He's given Toronto 193 innings last season with a 3.59 ERA and 189 strikeouts. At 35 years old, he's still dealing. But here's the thing. How much longer can he keep this up? Do you commit another 3 or 4 years to a pitcher who'll be pushing 40? Or do you say, thank you for everything, and move on? The front office loves stability. They love having that guy they can pencil in every 5th day who's going to give them quality innings. Gausman's been that guy. So I think they're going to have a real conversation about an extension here. Probably something short-term. 2 years? Maybe 3 with some options? Because finding another pitcher who can do what he does at his age? That's incredibly rare. Then there's George Springer. Man, what a roller coaster this guy's been on. 2 years ago, people were calling his contract one of the worst in baseball. Last season, he hits .309 with 32 home runs and 84 RBIs at age 36. Then he goes and hits that iconic Game 7 homer in the ALCS that had the entire city of Toronto losing their minds. But let's be real for a second. Springer's body has taken a beating over the years. He's played hard his entire career, first in Houston, now in Toronto. Can he replicate what he did last season? I have my doubts. Father Time is undefeated, and while Springer might have one more great year in him, betting on consistent production from a 37-year-old with his injury history is risky. The Jays might look at that performance and think it's the perfect time to part ways on a high note rather than watching him decline. Shane Bieber is the wild card in all of this. When he opted into the final year of his contract, it caught everyone off guard. Most people expected him to hit free agency. Instead, he's coming back after Tommy John surgery limited him to just over 50 regular season innings the past 2 seasons. 40 innings last year with a 3.57 ERA sounds okay on paper, but that's such a small sample size. The big question is durability. Can Bieber handle a full season workload after everything he's been through? He showed some promising signs in the playoffs, which is encouraging, but we're talking about a guy who needs to prove he can throw 170, 180 innings again. If he does that successfully, the Jays will have a really tough decision to make. Do they invest in a 31-year-old pitcher coming off major surgery? Or do they use that money elsewhere? Yimi Garcia is an interesting case because a lot of casual fans might not even know who he is. He had elbow surgery in late August to clean up scar tissue, which knocked him out for the playoff run. Before that, he'd been a reliable bullpen arm. 21 innings, 3.86 ERA, 25 strikeouts. Nothing flashy, but solid middle relief. The thing about relievers, though, they're the most volatile position in baseball. A guy can be lights out one year and completely fall apart the next. Garcia's 35, he's had elbow issues, and while he's been good when healthy, is he worth investing in long-term? Probably not. I'd expect the Jays to either bring him back on a team-friendly deal or let him walk if someone else offers more money. Now let's talk about the arbitration guys. Ernie Clement has become a legitimate folk hero in Toronto. 3 years ago, the Athletics gave up on him. Now he's hitting .277 with nearly 160 games played and putting up a .411 batting average through the playoffs. That's absurd. 73 plate appearances at that clip in October baseball. He's earned himself a serious raise. The question is whether that playoff performance was real or just a hot streak. I lean toward thinking Clement is a solid player who got even hotter at the right time. He's 29, he's versatile, he plays hard. Those are exactly the kind of guys championship teams are built around. I think the Jays lock him up. Dalton Varsho only played 71 games last season, but he hit 20 home runs in that span. 20. That's an insane power rate. Plus, his defense is still Gold Glove caliber. When you acquire a guy from Arizona and give up what the Jays did to get Varsho, you're invested in making it work. The injuries are concerning, no doubt, but when he's on the field, he's one of the most impactful players on the roster. I think Toronto will do whatever it takes to keep him, maybe even explore an extension before he reaches free agency. At 29, he's in his prime, and if he can stay healthy for a full season, he could be an absolute monster. Tyler Heineman is probably the easiest decision of the bunch. He's 34, he's a backup catcher who hit .289 in 61 games. That's nice, but it's also replaceable. Unless he has another great season, and the Jays feel really connected to him as a veteran presence, they'll probably move on and find a younger option. Here's what keeps me up at night if I'm the Blue Jays front office. You've got potentially 4 or 5 significant contributors all hitting free agency or arbitration at the same time. That's a ton of payroll flexibility, sure, but it's also a ton of uncertainty. Do you go all in on retaining these guys and keeping the core together? Or do you use this as an opportunity to reshape the roster? Ross Atkins has been aggressive this offseason, but next year could define his entire tenure in Toronto. Get these decisions right, and the Jays could be contenders for years. Get them wrong, and you're looking at a rebuild. No pressure, right? The reality is that championship windows are shorter than people think. This team just went on an incredible playoff run. The fan base is energized, but if you lose half your roster and can't replace that production, that window slams shut fast. Management knows this. They've got 1 year to figure out which of these guys are part of the future and which ones aren't. My gut tells me Gausman gets extended, Clement gets locked up, Varsho gets a new deal, Springer probably walks, Bieber is a total coin flip depending on how his season goes, and the others are role players who can be replaced. But that's just one person's opinion. The next 12 months are going to tell us everything we need to know about where this franchise is headed.